And the fight over vaccines stems from one question: who should be given priority? Earlier, it was thought that the elderly would be the most affected section by the Wuhan virus, so they were placed in high priority lists for the vaccines. Well, that model left younger generations with comorbidity without vaccines. Health workers had to be kept safe, so they too were inoculated first. That model left vaccinated health workers treating patients infected with mutated viruses. And that may not be susceptible to the vaccine. It also left millions of students still counting days to return to school. So we are back to the question: who should be given priority for vaccines and who qualifies as an essential worker?
In 1869, when Charles Darwin wrote about the survival of the fittest, he was referring to the mechanism of natural selection. When nature gets to pick who makes the cut to the next generation. Little did the British naturalists know that 125 years later, our world would evolve to a point where men would pick who survives. The year is 2021. The last 12 months was spent developing a vaccine for the Wuhan virus. The dilemma now is to pick who gets these life-saving jabs first. Who makes it to the priority list? You would think the answer is simple. Essential workers first, the elderly next, and then the rest of the crowd. Trust us when we say this model is not working. Try and answer this question: who is an essential worker? And what qualifies as essential? For Japan, the upcoming Olympics are essential. It has been postponed once. A repeat would tantamount to losses worth billions. So it wasn't surprising when reports claimed Japan was planning to vaccinate Olympic athletes first. These men and women, after all, are Japan's essential workers right now. The not-so-essential Japanese began protesting online. Why not the elderly first?
One of the comments on social media in response to this news of athletes potentially being prioritised was, "Is it the Olympics over life now?"
No, says the government of Japan, denying reports of prioritization of athletes. Say Japan does indeed vaccinate the elderly first. How would that be fair on someone who is 20 and fighting cancer? In the CDC vaccine rollout recommendation, people above 16 and with comorbidity only feature in the third step of the inoculation program. While this template is for American states, something very similar is being followed the world over. As a result, youngsters with life-threatening illnesses are being denied vaccines. Is this fair? Vacina já is Portuguese for vaccine now. The National Museum of Brazil is beaming the country's demand. On the 6th of April, Brazil recorded 4,195 daily deaths. Its worst on record. But only health workers, people above 75, residents of old age homes, and Brazil's indigenous population are currently eligible for vaccination. The new wave has shown this order of prioritization does not work. When the virus does not discriminate, why should vaccines? Be it on the basis of age or profession. It is critical that health workers are safe. It is also essential that our children return to school. Workers return to factories and farmers to their farms. Brazil's protest against President Bolsonaro's handling of the pandemic has touched a tipping point. Bolsonaro has asked the military if they have troops to quell possible unrest. Is it only a matter of time before the frustration breaches borders? How long will the world silently wait for life-saving vaccines? How long will people with threatening illnesses put up with this injustice? Like we told you, it's not easy to decide who gets priority. The answer becomes all the more difficult when you account for the fact that it may be weeks or even months before the next batch of vaccines reaches your country. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.